Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 98 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 98 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you could join us this week. If you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep, and I really appreciate your continued support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we dive into this week's episode, I always like to do a little housekeeping. I want to make sure that we take the time to set the intention correctly. So I want to make sure that you understand that we're building a safe space. And in this space, while we're together, all of the things that we do will be built on two very important foundations, and that's going to be love and clarity. When it comes to clarity, it's really just about making sure that you understand why you're here. The Well Done Life podcast is a podcast that I created for women. It's a space where I feel that women can be our most authentic selves, where we can learn and grow from each other. It's all about talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, so that we can kind of break some chains, heal each other, motivate each other, and inspire each other. So I hope you feel that way while you are here. And then also along that line, it leads to one of my favorite things that this space is built on, which is love. I love love. And so with love, I like to make sure that every week I send prayers to you, because I think that one, we need to all pray for each other a lot more. And then two, I just want you to kind of feel some of the support and encouragement that we like to build this foundation on. So this week, I want to make sure that I am sending you all prayers of peace. I'm sending you prayers of love. I want you to feel love from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. I also want you to feel supported. I want you to have prayers of prosperity. I also want you to have prayers of real relationships. And I mean, not just romantic relationships, but I'm talking real relationships with friends who support and encourage you to be your best self. Because that's what it's about. You want to make sure that you're around people who make you better. If your friend group doesn't make you feel better or support you or encourage you, you know what? I think it's time to expand your horizons and meet some new people. So, but at least you'll know that while you are here, you're around a group of people that want to make sure that you are supported and encouraged, because everything that we will do in this space is rooted in love. So welcome. So we set the foundation. Let's start to ease our way into this week's topic. It is February the 17th at 8 o'clock at night, actually 8:24 to be exact. I'm recording a little late this week because it has been a super busy week. I actually, on my normal recording day, Tuesday, I was on a podcast. I actually did a live stream, which is totally new for me. That was just my second one, but I did it with my friend Jay Emanuel on his platform, the Right to Real Love show. And if you are looking for information on relationships, and I mean information from people who are not trying to degrade you, but people who are really trying to give you really good advice to help you be able to navigate through and understand, I would totally recommend that you check out his platform. It is the Right to Real Love with Jay Emanuel on YouTube. And I will put his information in the show notes because he was also a prior guest on the show. But I'm still kind of coming off of a high. You know, not just from doing his show, but I'm also coming off of a high from last week. If you haven't had a chance to listen to episode 97, For the Love of You, Self-Love Real Talk, I cannot recommend more that episode. I really want to thank everyone who supported it. I've gotten really great feedback, but I also want to thank all of my guests last week. I want to thank Dr. Shalana Battle, Crystal Diaz, Kathleen Daniel, Shannon Green, Katie Pearson, and Tita Walker for being so vulnerable, being so open and so honest to have a real conversation around self-love and self-care, because they are kind of interrooted. It really was, it was everything I had hoped for and more. And so I definitely want to make sure that I encourage you to listen to that episode if you have not had a chance to check it out. It is one of the episodes that I am most proud of, because I think it is very important as women that we, like I said earlier, kind of create spaces where we can be vulnerable and where we can learn from each other. And self-love is a very twisty, windy journey. And in particularly, it's a twisty, windy journey for Black women. And it is so hard to find places and spaces where we can be our most authentic self. So when we create moments like that and where we're vulnerable, I always feel like it opens us up to healing and inspiration. I know I learned a lot from my guest, and I learned things that I didn't realize, and it's made me think about some things within myself. So I'm just really grateful for that. And I'm really was happy that I was able to meet my goal of creating a space where we could all inspire and be vulnerable and encourage each other. So again, I will definitely recommend that you check it out. I am going to put the link in the show notes. But like I said, I'm still kind of like riding the high of that. And so as we're winding into this week's episode a little bit more, and we're still talking about love on all levels, which is our theme for the month, I really wanted to talk a little bit more about it as it relates to my self-love journey, especially as I am getting ready to enter into a new chapter of my life. Year 49 is loading and will be officially here next week. And I'm really excited about it. And it actually, I'm overjoyed because I feel like aging is a blessing to me. I know some of us like begrudge getting older, but to me, I really feel like it is very special, and I feel very grateful because I know that there are a lot of people, especially now in the times that we are living in, that they didn't get a chance to experience the milestones that I've seen, or the milestone that I'm actually even going to see even further. So I'm very grateful. That means my assignment is not done, that there is still more that I have left to do. And I feel like I'm even stepping further into the person that I was called to be. So it's really great. And I'm very grateful to be at a point in my life where I can say that I truly love myself, because kind of like what I shared in the episode last week, for me, self-love has definitely not really been something that I can truly, honestly say that I have felt, except for in the last few years. And I'll be quite honest, if I don't even think I would have been able to honestly say it the way that I feel it right now if it hadn't been for the pandemic. And we talked about that also on the episode. So that's just another reason for you to go and check it out. But so I really feel like, this is a special moment, and especially for me, because it has been a journey, and I've been on the self-love journey for a long time. But like a lot of other women, and I've been experienced imposter syndrome with it. And it definitely had me, I feel like, on the wrong path. But I can honestly say, like I said earlier, today at 8:29 p.m. on February the 17th, I love myself. And I'm very grateful about that. And when I say that I love myself and self-love, I think when we're trying to discover ourselves, we have to be very clear about that. And we have to take time to really take stock of what self-love means to us. And so for me, when I think about it, and when I say that I love myself, I'm saying that I love myself for all the things that I've accomplished. But I also love myself for all of the mistakes and the delays. Yes, because see, you gotta take the good with the bad. And I look at the bad as not necessarily bad. Those were mistakes and delays, but they were things that I don't try to hold on to, even though I kind of discovered today I still have some work to do. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I feel like a lot of my mistakes and delays I have forgiven. And they're gradually moving as I am healing through and moving past them into what I like to call the sea of forgetfulness. And I think a lot of us, when we are talking about ourselves and taking stock of whether we love ourselves, and we think of all the good and all of the bad and all of the mistakes and the delays, you have to make sure that you cultivate an opportunity for you in that moment to create a space for forgiveness. And that's not forgiveness. It's forgiveness for the people that may have hurt you, but it's also forgiving yourself for being in that situation in the first place. And then make the decision that you are going to try to move past these situations into the sea of forgetfulness for me, or whatever compartmentalized box that you can put those memories in, so that you can acknowledge that they took place, but that they don't hold you back. And that's really tricky. And again, we're going to talk about that as we get a little bit further. But like I was saying, especially as I transfer into this phase of my life where I find I will have new adventures. I also know that along with those new adventures, there will be many mistakes. There will be new mistakes. It's not like I'm going to sit up here and act like everything is going to be perfect. Yes, I have the potential for errors, plenty of them. I'm just not claiming the errors. I'm acknowledging that they have a presence, but I'm just not claiming that that's what it's going to be. Because if I do it that way for me, it allows me to have room to face challenges head on. And I feel like I need that room because that room is going to afford me the grace to know that I can handle it. Because I think that's where a lot of us sometimes we get into trouble as we are, acknowledging ourselves on this self-love journey. And what I've experienced through myself and my journey is that a lot of times, we say that we have forgiven ourselves for the mistakes and we realize that things can happen, but we don't move past it. We don't really heal. We forgive the offender, but we don't forgive ourselves for even being in that situation in the first place. It becomes another brick that we hold against ourselves. And we have to be very cautious because if we don't let those bricks go, those bricks will drown us and we will stay stagnant in our situation. So it's very important that you cultivate that space where you can acknowledge that there is a room for error and there are going to be mistakes, but I'm equipped to be able to handle it and I will move forward, because that to me is what self-love is about. And I think that those are so important. As I was saying, as you move into new chapters of our lives, you have to be willing to acknowledge that, because life is gonna life. And especially at the point that I am when I'm in my late 40s, life is seriously lifing in the 40s. I mean, for real. You are going through many, many different things. And so you have to be willing and ready to face through your challenges by recognizing that you are equipped to handle them. Entering this new chapter, and just for context, I always like to refer to aging as chapters in the story, because I feel like we're writing a story of our life. So I always will refer to every year as a chapter. So as I transition into chapter 49, as I am writing my story, I'm really ready to write a very beautiful chapter for 49. Because for me, this is such a pivotal age. Like I was mentioning a few moments ago, the 40s are life-changing. I have to admit, if I were to sit here and really analyze, do I remember everything that I went through at 40? I don't. I hate to say it. For me, 40 was kind of like a blur, because I think about it, I kind of was thrust into a lot of the things that people in their 40s are facing in my late 30s. That's when my father passed away suddenly. That's when I discovered how sick my mom had been. That's when I really learned that my parents were going through this whole host of problems and series of things that I would be called in to assist them through, and I wasn't prepared. So it was just like everything was happening to me at the same time, while at the same trying to process my own emotions. So I took on, I feel, a lot of the things that people have in their 40s a little bit earlier. But either way, the late 30s, 40s, they really do have a tendency to hit you, because as you are dealing with life and, unlocking the things that you are going to go through, you also are beginning to unlock, to me, different perceptions and fears that hold you back from living your best life. Because with life starting to hit you, not just probably from family, but your parents, but you're also in some instances dealing with challenges that you're facing in your job. The 40s are a really big time where many people start to reevaluate the positions that you're in, or it could mean that, you're ready to go on to another endeavor and you're trying to figure it out and, pivot. Or maybe you've decided that, this is not the route that I want to take. I want to do something else. And you want to try to totally maybe go out on your own. I mean, there's just so many different ways. Or some people might be trying to, God bless, sit up and retire, which I have to admit, I would love to have had that experience. But, 40 is one of those moments where it's like you can just say, life is lifing and you are trying to balance it all. And then at the same time, deal with you. And it's very easy to forget all of the things that made you you while you were dealing with everyone else's stuff. Because you are going to have to be very intentional about yourself. And intentional is one of my favorite words. So I cannot, I'm just kind of giving you guys a little quick PSA. I'm going to probably say it a lot as we go through this, but you have to be super intentional with yourself. That's one of the things that I have to admit I admire right now that I see in younger people, where they are super intentional with the self-care and all of those things. And don't get me wrong, I think some of that may shift and change as they are navigating through life. But the fact that you are already establishing the habit to prioritize your self-care, to prioritize your well-being emotionally and physically at a younger age is a very good sign, because many of us in my generation, we weren't taught those habits. So we are now at this point in our lives where we're trying to learn it all, and it's a lot because our plates are so filled. And as women, we get even more overwhelmed because we are the foundations of society. We are the foundations of our families. And so we do tend to be the ones who get lost in the sauce sometimes. And you don't have that opportunity to establish your own practice. But please use this as your quick PSA moment to say, you know what, it's time for me to establish a practice. It's time for you to be extremely intentional with the woman that you are, because you are at that point in your life as you are entering into these chapters, especially in your 40s, how it is important to you to make sure you are writing this chapter on your terms. And it's not going to always feel like it's on your terms, but there has to be some part of it carved out for you so that you can stay engaged and motivated and inspired through the journeys of life. So I definitely would say that you have to, because it's time. It can be journaling, it can be reading, it can be screaming, working out, or therapy, whatever. It just has to be something set up for the elevation of you. And these practices will help you stay in tune for the changes that are coming around, that are going to happen around you and inside of you, because we haven't even talked about how as you start to hit the 40s, the whole body changes. I mean, as we start to get later in the 40s, I mean, you're like gray hair everywhere, and I mean everywhere. That's a whole nother conversation. Or I'm talking about even the fact that, you could be dealing with issues where it's menopause, and how are you dealing with that? Because nobody talks about menopause. Like, even though you really feel like they do, they don't. And when you go to the doctor, sometimes your doctor makes you feel like you're crazy because they're like, oh, it's just menopause. Well, I don't know about it. Tell me about it. And you have to advocate more for that, because I hate to say it, they don't really have a lot of conversations around what women can do to manage menopause in a healthy way that may not involve drugs, because not everybody can take drugs. It's just, that's how it's going to be. So there's so many different aspects of it, but it is important that you prioritize all of those things. That's why you need a habit, so that you can make sure that you are prioritizing you. So, along that line, as I've made a habit of prioritizing me this year. I really actually took it as a priority that I had to look at my life and get clear about the things that I'm leaving behind. And I did that this year at the start of the year. And as I've been reflecting on chapter 49, I've decided to do it again to enter this next chapter. And when I did it at the beginning of the year, it really was focused on just like leaving some core things that I needed to let go of in my life. And I keep it with me all the time. It actually is something that I keep on my phone and on my computer, since those are the places where I spend it. I literally jotted it down so that I would be able to have it. And it's like 2022 things to remember, because I decided this year I'm not into the vision board. It's not going to work. I need to be extremely intentional, a lot more focused as I'm transitioning into this time. So I have quarterly intentions, and then my 2022 things I'm leaving behind. And I'm not going to run through the whole list because it's kind of a few, but just a few things that I left in 2021 would be like overthinking. not prioritizing my peace and health, mental and physical, not prioritizing my time, living in athleisure attire. Yes, I'm sick of athleisure. That's a whole nother conversation. Not sharing my emotions, not dreaming big. So as I'm looking at all those things and then thinking about this new chapter that I'm about to go in, I was like, I really need to think about what I want to leave in 49, because this is like my preparation for the big 50, Yes, it does. I'm excited about the fact that this is the last part of the 40s, but then I'm also like, wow, I can only imagine what 50 will bring and how I will feel about myself, because they tend to say 50s are like the fresh out of fuck 50s, which I'm really excited about, because I'm already fuck deficient. I'm really am. So I can only imagine what fresh out will bring. I feel like that's when magic happens, when you're fresh out of fucks, but that's just my opinion. And I hope I'm not offending anyone with the language, but there's really not too many other ways to say it. But anywho, so like I said, I really wanted to be very intentional. I wanted to prepare. So a couple of things that I have jotted down that I wanted to share with you about what I'm leaving behind in chapter 48 for preparation for chapter 49 are, this is like a one that's very consistent, doing things that don't maximize my time. Like I said last year, not prioritizing my time, not maximizing my time, meaning I will value you by my time. I value my time, and I will set and enforce boundaries to ensure other people respect my time, because I find that is an area where I struggle, where especially in a corporate structure where I'm not setting enough boundaries to ensure that my time is respected. And so I'm working on that. And I definitely would recommend we all do, because time is precious. I've said it before. I will say it again. Time is the one resource that you give out that you can never get back. So when you give time to someone, it should be respected. I do. It has to be respected. So you have to make sure that you require people to respect you. One other thing that I'm going to leave in chapter 48 is waiting to do things I want to do. And what that means is I will not allow other people's fears to deter me from doing what I want to do. And yes, I had to type these out because I didn't want to forget, but and I wanted to be very clear about it. But with that one, I love to travel, and I like to try different things. And sometimes I'll let my mom, her fears, talk me out of doing it, or, not fear that somebody may not understand why I would want to go somewhere. And I'll let that kind of quell me a little bit. I'm not doing that anymore, because you can't live, or I know I can't live based upon what other people's perceptions or fears are, because that's just them projecting their emotions on you. And I know that I don't want to project my emotions on anyone else. So I have to be very cautious about making sure that I don't take that type of energy in, especially because life is short. Time is short. And if there are things in your life that you want to do, if you think about them very thoughtfully and clearly, and you feel comfortable that you have the ability to do them without risk of ending your life or just blowing it all to hell, why would you not do it? Yep, that pretty much is that TED Talk. The third one is settling for love that doesn't compliment me. And when I say settling for love that doesn't compliment me, meaning I am a woman of value. You are a woman of value. And there are men out there who are looking to build lasting, healthy relationships. Love is not one-sided. If you want a partnership, if you want someone that you can build with, you just have to be very intentioned about, how you want to go about being available to that person, and how you want to reflect the type of energy that you are looking to attract. And you should go out there and do that. Don't settle. I feel like as women, especially as we start to get into the chapters that I am in, the 49 chapters of life, I feel like society sometimes feels like women should just settle. Like, you should just settle for just lottie-dottie and anybody just so that you can have a man. And you know what? That's foolish. Why would you settle? Because even if we just wanted to be crass about it, it's like, I'm almost 49 years old. If I'm single now and I'm all right, why would all of a sudden I throw away my good life, my peace of mind, just to settle for lottie-dottie and anybody so I can say I got a man? Like, for real, like, why would you lower your standards? You've come this far. You've made it. Your life is thriving. The skin is moisturized. You're living and doing all the things that you want to do. Why would you all of a sudden decide, you know what, I'm just going to take anybody just so that I can have somebody? That's craziness. Stand the course. Because what's for you is for you. It's not a matter of timing. It's a matter of you being ready for what is for you. So make sure that you are taking this time to do the work on yourself so that you can attract the love that you seek. You don't have to go searching and being available to someone who may not be able to give you what you want. Be clear about what you want. State what you want and don't settle. Because the moment that you settle, it's over. So for me, I'm not settling. I want a partner who complements my life, who loves my family. And when I say complement my life, I mean someone who is emotionally and physically and supportive, someone who is ready to be present in my life, someone who allows me to be weak, someone who has my back, who motivates me. Because sometimes I tend to be the one who is motivating other people. I want someone in my life who motivates me. Yes, I'm ready to let down the walls, but you have to earn your position. Because if you get me, you got a partner. You got somebody who's going to ride with you. And so I know that coming into a situation. So I know that I deserve someone who can complement that. And I am not willing to relax my standards for it. And I had to get really honest about the fact, even though I've really known this for a long time. And my dad even told me this. Before he passed away, you never have to get married if you don't want to. My dad said that to me. He was like, you never have to get married. He's like, you just need to make sure you are with someone who can treat you like the queen that you are, who is committed to you and who loves you, who really loves you. Because my dad kind of felt like a lot of us nowadays, we don't work together as partners in marriage. Because my father always told me that was the key to his and my mom's success. It was a partnership. We were both in it together. When one was weak, the other was strong, and vice versa. And they motivated and encouraged each other to build a family. And so he was like, you need to have that type of life. If you have that type of life, that type of partner who's willing to work with you and build with you and support you and encourage you and lift you up, you'll be fine. But if that's not what you find, he said, be happy, but be single. And I had to be honest about that and be very comfortable with that. And I'm not desperate. I would love to date someone. I would love to be in a relationship. But I'm also at this point in my life where it's like, if you're not adding value, I don't need you to waste my time. And I don't think that's wrong. I think that's just honest. And I think a lot more women need to have that type of perspective. Doesn't mean that we have the walls built out that somebody can't get in. It just means that you get selected, that we're very selective about who we invite. So, just saying. So that's just one thing, that I am letting go in 48. And then another one is not letting other people take care of me. For me, what that means is I'm open to being pampered and supported and attended to. I'm hanging up my superwoman cape, y'all. I am. I'm really tired. I am not super sister save-a-hoe. I can't be everything to everybody. And I have come to that point where I have recognized that it's time to let the cape go up. and let other people come into my life where I need that support and encouragement. And I know that there are so many other women out there like trying to do it all by themselves, because that's what we feel like we have to do. But when we have people in our lives that we can lean on, we need to lean on them. We need to get support. We need to ask for help when we need help. We can't be everything to everyone when we are absolutely nothing to ourselves. So hang up the cape. And then another thing that I am leaving in chapter 48 is not setting and enforcing boundaries, meaning I have allowed relationships to be toxic for the sake of keeping the peace. And there is no peace when there is no respect. Boundaries teach people how to treat you, and they also teach us how to be treated. I don't really feel like that one needs any other explanation. And then the other things that I'm leaving, I actually have to be more. But one other one is I'm not valuing every moment I get with the people that I love. And see, I've learned this over these past couple of years during this pandemic. But I say, simply put, I'm not taking any time I get for granted, because journeys can come and go very, very quickly. And so to me, the most valuable thing that we get from someone we love is a memory that will last a lifetime. And so I will be focused on making many opportunities for moments or memories to be created. I really, like I said, really learned that during the pandemic, the time that I got a chance to sit down and really be present with my family and present with my friends, because there was only fleeting moments that we could all get together because we were scared of getting COVID. You value that. Or phone calls, you value those moments. I want to create more of those moments because those memories have pushed me through some dark times. And those are the things that last beyond the material things. Those are the things that fill you up and encourage you. So I'm really going to be very focused on making every moment with the people I love very value added. And then another one, which I think may help some other people too, is not knowing my worth and charging tax. Now, I do feel like that's self-explanatory, but I think there are too many of us, myself included, taking less in relationships, work, etc. And we need to use moments like this as a sign to stop doing it. We're worth too much. We are worth too much. Bring too much to the table. And it's not all about having all the credit and all the money in the bank. I'm talking about you as a person. Talking about me as a person. We bring too much knowledge, too much skill, too much strength to any situation that we are in, not to have our worth, not to be treated with our worth, not to be paid our worth. And we have to charge tax for it. And we have to ask, because if we do not start going after our worth now, when are we going to do it? I mean, like I said, I'm about to be 49. It's 10 years from now, I'm going to be 59. At 59, I don't want to be worried about my worth. I don't. So it's something's got to give. And that's the same situation. If you happen to be listening to this and you're 33, that means you'll be 43 trying to deal with this if you don't fix it. Not saying that that's old, but I am saying that that's a little bit too far gone to be dying to deal with people not knowing how valuable you are in any area of your life. Make sure that you know your worth and you charge tax for all of it. Because there's no time like the present to get what you deserve. And then the final one, which just happened today, is so funny. I was having a conversation about a website domain, and it's amazing how God just puts people in situations and timing in front of you to have conversations that you needed to have. And so I needed to have a conversation today and with a friend of mine, and we were talking about, like I said, website domains. And we actually were on the phone with GoDaddy at the exact same time, which was crazy. He had put us on hold, and during this hold, she got my whole life together. So thank you, Tita. I appreciate you getting my whole life together while we were on hold with GoDaddy. But essentially what it is she uncovered in me a hurt that I hadn't really gone through. I thought I had, but there's obviously a little bit of work left that I need to do. And as it relates to friendships, because I had a very a hard breakup with a very close friend that I had at one point, and it really rocked me to my core. And I have healed from it. And I have no ill will. I've talked to her since then, it's cool. But at the same time, the residual effects are that it limits me sometimes from how close I can get to other people or how I move with friends. And she called me out on it. And it's funny because it just flowed out of me. How I have this wall or this fear where it comes to interacting with too many people at the same time, because I'm scared of introducing people to each other because, personalities might not jive. And I just don't want to deal with that because I don't want to go through what I've been through before. And it was just so funny. She was like, well, let me help you free from that. You need to work on that. And she just said it so lovingly. And I was like, you're right. It is something that I know I need to do. And I get triggered. I get triggered anytime anyone wants to do anything with me. And it involves them, including a whole bunch of women and friends, because I'm like, oh, Lord, I don't want to have to go through this trying to deal with people's personalities and potential conflicts, da-da-da-da. And I was like, I can't live like that. I can't live like that, and because it's not good for my life, but it's also not good for what we're doing here in this space. I love having conversations with women. I love being able to bring different women together and cultivate honest conversation, because I can just see the magic. I just worry when it comes to me because it's like I feel like Moni in the middle and I don't know how to handle it sometimes. And so I was triggered by just something, and she was like, you need to deal with that. And I was like, you're 100% right. And I'm going to challenge myself to be more open where it comes to inviting more women and friends, getting together, connecting in my space, because I don't want to give that energy out. I have been blessed through this podcast to meet some amazing women, and I really enjoy each of their companies and just being able to talk with them and vibe. And I want to continue to do that. And I want to connect all these people without any kind of fears and doubts. And I just need to make sure that I keep pushing past that, because I know that fear, because I know I'm called to do this. I'm a connector. I know how to connect people, to feed into each other, to bring the best out in each other. So I have to make sure that I worked through that trigger, and she brought that trigger out of me. So I am leaving also in chapter 48, my fear of cultivating friendships more and connecting more with women across my friendships, realizing that I am stepping into my purpose by doing this, and that by not doing it, I'm allowing my trigger to hold me back. So I am really going to be leaving in chapter 48, letting my triggers hold me back from my blessings, because why not? I'm about to be 49 years old. If I don't move past my triggers now, when am I going to move past them? So I shared that with you guys because we all have different things that we're holding on to, or different triggers from past traumas. Make sure that you constantly stay on top of your triggers and your traumas. Don't let your triggers hold you back from your next level, because you were called to do something great. And you would be surprised how, if you really sat down and thought about it, that trigger could be stopping you from moving to the level that you're supposed to, because it's just there as a hold, it's there as a block. So make sure all your triggers are contained, and make sure that you stay on top of them, because it is easy, if you're not careful, for your triggers to take control. And that is not the life that you want to live. So those are just a few of the things that I'm leaving behind in chapter 48 on my journey to 49. And it's a part of my self-love. And I know I'll add a few more, especially as I get close to my birthday and through. But I just want to say, I'm really proud of the clarity that I'm going into this chapter with. And I think that we all have to take moments when we age or go through new chapters of our life that we get clear, that we celebrate the clarity that we have, that we let go of the things that we want to leave in the previous year. You commit it, you write it down, you make it plain, you get honest, you hold it with you so that as you're moving into this new chapter, that you won't let it hold you back, so that you can really be free and live the type of life that you want to live. So yeah, I'm going to make sure that I have these triggers or these things that I'm leaving behind in chapter 48 in my journal so that I can keep up with them and make sure that it's something that I'm on top of. But celebrate the success. Celebrate the fact that you're at this moment. And I know it may not be your birthday, but start thinking about, like I said, what you want to leave behind as you transition into your new chapters. Give yourself the clarity you need and deserve to live the life that you want, that you deserve. Because you know what? It's time. And if you're sitting there wondering is it really time, then the only answer that I can give you back is, if it's not now, when is it going to be time? So just something to think about. Again, I want to thank you for your continued support of the podcast. I really do appreciate the feedback that I get from people letting me know that they enjoyed the episodes, or, that I may have encouraged and helped you. If there's anything that you would love that I could give you more insight on, or any feedback that you have, please don't hesitate to share. All of my social information will be in the show notes. But I want to thank you for your continued support. And I really hope that you have a marvelous week. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but I promise I'll be back next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care of yourselves, each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.